أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذي أذهب الله عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وفوض أمري إلى الله بصير بالعباد. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Continuing our journey into the verse of the throne, Ayatul Kursi, today we continue into the discussion of the fact where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that to him belong whatsoever is in the heavens and whatsoever is on the earth. Who can intercede with him except by his permission? So the Arabic goes like this, Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil arz, man dhal ladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'idhnih. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that to him belong whatsoever is in the heavens and the earth, we want to understand some qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First of all, we understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's quality of being infinite. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he is an infinite entity, we need to understand that an entity that is infinite cannot have a beginning or an end. And when something doesn't have an end, that means that it is something which is a continuous existence. It has no boundary or an end or a limitation. If it has no limitation, that means that there is no point where it ends so that another can begin. So technically, there can only be one entity that is infinite because another one can never begin. If another entity cannot begin, then that one entity which is infinite has to be the only existing entity, has to be the only reality that exists. And therefore, it proves to us that that one infinite entity has to be the only one existence, which is how we can understand La ilaha illallah, that there is no God except God. There is no other existence other than Allah. There is no other life other than that one consciousness. So now, if there is no other entity other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we see that the heavens and the earth are nothing but the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence can be understood as the zahir and the batin, the manifest, which is the seen, and the unseen, which is the batin. So outside reality that we see with the heaven and the earth, so heavens is used for the skies and the space and what is above us, the celestial bodies. And what we see below us is the earth. And the human being became the center of this existence. So in the older times, when we see the emergence of Islamic mysticism, we see that the human being was the center of the universe. And it wasn't the sun that was taken as the center of the universe. So when in the New Age, the solar system was designed on paper or shown to us as a map of the galaxy or the map of the Milky Way, we see that the solar system has sun as the center, and then there are the planets that orbit around it. However, if we study the diagrams given to us by teachers like Ibn Arabi, they would in their time, and it wasn't just exclusive to the Muslim scholars, but it was a generally understood idea that the center of the universe was man himself, which made Earth the center of reality. So the truth is that wherever there is a consciousness, from the point of consciousness only can there be an understanding of existence. If you and I, for example, imagine for 1 minute that the entire human race would not have any kind of consciousness, if the entire human race would not have any kind of understanding of the reality, if we did not gauge a sense of where we are, of time and space and smell, and a sense of who we are and where we are, then would there be any consciousness that could understand the sun and the moon and the planets? So the intelligence and the consciousness of the human existence is what gives primal importance to anything else that exists. Otherwise, the animals on planet Earth are, according to our understanding, not conscious. They are not aware of the way the universe works, or the laws of gravity, or the fascinating laws of nature that govern our existence. So then to say that the man is the center of the universe makes sense, because the man is the one who determines or decides the importance of anything other than himself that exists, or even himself. The importance of his own existence, the importance of where in time and space he exists. So now if there are planets which are uninhabited and there is no life over there of a conscious existence, then who would be able to appreciate any of this if there was no conscious existence? Therefore, for the scholars and the teachers, it was the human mind that was giving value to any of it which existed, and therefore they would only create the earth as they would always draw the earth as the center of reality, as the center of existence, and the sun and the moon and all the other planets would be the other than the center of the existence. And the point to make over here is that that consciousness that exists within the human consciousness is just one life, as we said in the beginning. There is no disconnect between this human consciousness and what is in every leaf, and what is in every rhinoceros, and what is in every atom of anything that exists. So we are part of the same reality, but manifested in different forms. And so there is a certain kind of energy, life, and existence that runs through all of us, which connects all of us and makes us one in the real existence. However, the center of that existence, the heaven and the earth. So in heavens, by heavens, I mean the cosmos, and the earth is this planet Earth, which is inhabited by us, the human beings. In that sense, now, the perception of reality comes from the human mind, who can then understand that whatsoever we see as different from us, other than us, the earth and the heavens, are nothing but part of my consciousness, whether it's above me or whether it is below me. And so we go to the Hermetic quote from, according to our scholars, Prophet Idris, where he says, as above, so below. And so what is above is below, and what we see in the cosmos is also what we have within us as a human being. So whatever is above me in the heavens is a part of me in this existence. There is no separation. We are all one. And a lot of people who go on spiritual journey, they have moments of this sensation where they don't feel separate from anything. They feel one. And I will share a TED talk by a certain doctor, and she had a brain hemorrhage. And when she was experiencing this brain hemorrhage, she says that before she collapsed through a stroke that caused the hemorrhage in her brain, she suddenly felt like she was part of everything, the stars and the moon and the space. And she's tried to explain it. I don't think we can understand it unless we experience it. But she says that there was a there was a disintegration of her bodily form and existence. And she felt like she was part of every atom of this universe, and she was one with this existence. So in reality, there is a part of the brain that gives us a sense that we are separate, that we are this human being in this body. And if that part of the brain were to be altered, we would also feel like we're one with this entire existence. And for her, this mystical experience came through a very physical phenomena. But a lot of mystics explain the very same phenomena, and they say we experience this oneness with the universe. And I think that in everything, because Allah leaves his signs and gives us some information, what I gauged out of her experience is that through mystical experiences and journeying in the soul, we are capable of altering our brain wiring. We are capable of biologically altering the physiology of our brain to enter mystical experiences. And that is why, there's this very big hype into shrooms and mushrooms and psychedelic substances that give you a high and give you these mystical experiences. But there's a massive danger of alter ego or the damaging of the ego through these substances. What basically these substances do is they obviously alter a part of our brain to give us certain experiences. But in reality, there is a journey that has to be undertaken through a process. Now, is our aim in this reality to reach the goal of having certain experiences that give us a high, that constantly make us feel good about ourselves or make us feel connected during our prayers, and we feel, yes, this namaz that I prayed, I was so focused, I had so much concentration, I felt a connection with Allah, and I think it was a really good prayer. I think it was a good namaz. I think, and then it follows with certain feelings of, okay, perhaps I didn't sin today. Perhaps, I had a good day today, or, I'm spiritually more purified today. That's why my experience in my salah was good. And we kind of start to, micromanage our experience, and we start to say, what was it that I did? How did I do this? How did I get here? I want to be in that state, in that feeling, because it felt so good. But the idea here is that the whole process is not about reaching that place or feeling, but the idea is to attain a certain experience, to go through a process. So that's why they say it's the journey that is important and not the destination. And what I'm talking about over here is the entire system of the purification of the soul, which many mystics have explained to us. Like Fariduddin Attar, the famous mystic, through his book, The Conference of the Birds, he talks about the 7 journeys of the soul, or the 7 valleys through which the birds go through to reach Seymour, which is a metaphor for reaching self-actualization. So a lot of times we see that there are ahadith like قَدْ أَرَفَ نَفْسَهُ فَقَدْ أَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. If you know yourself, you know your God, and which is what we see in the story of the Conference of the Birds, that they're looking for this higher entity, the wise one, the God, and then when they reach there, they realize that it was just mirroring their own selves. There was a mirroring of their own self. Why are we seeing this mirroring? It's connected to what we just said, that there is no other. Wherever you turn, you just see that one existence. Wherever you turn, you just see the face of God. Now, wherever you turn, what if you turn to the mirror? What if you turn to the mirror? And who do you see? You're seeing another face of God. Now, these things become very technical when we talk about it, but in reality, we know there is no one other than God. There is no other existence than God. Then who are we? And how are we understanding the existence of God as everything? So the idea is that this journey to God is just a journey within us that needs to be undertaken to understand what is going on and who is in charge here and where is life coming from and who is the cause of everything. Because if we were just meant to reach a destination, then we might just fall for theories about what this life is, where we have to go, what is hell and heaven, all of that, without truly understanding what the truth is. And the understanding of truth is all about experiencing it rather than reaching it. Because if it was just about reaching conclusions, I can come and sit here and just tell you there is only one existence, there is a breath of God within us, and these are all words. They're all words. But then the journey has to take us to a place where we enter an experiential knowledge that cannot be put into words. Where, just like this doctor who experienced a disintegration of the body, we experience a complete disintegration of the bookish knowledge, and it doesn't serve us anymore. And we go into a reality where now the bookish knowledge doesn't make any difference, doesn't explain anything, but there will be an inner experience that will explain all of this. So coming back to the purpose and talking about the psychedelics and reaching this place of feeling high, are we supposed to look for that feeling high, or are we supposed to go through a process which changes us, which transforms us, which alters us? So the difference here is our intention to feel a certain thing, or is my intention to become someone? Alter something? Is there an intention of transformation, or is there an intention of just feeling something, of just experiencing a roller coaster ride? So let me explain the difference. A person who goes into a very simple roller coaster, goes into the roller coaster, has fun, comes back, same person, no different. Oh yeah, I had fun, and then that fun lasts for a little while, and then you go back to being the same person. But a person who is looking to transform will be going through this experience of the roller coaster and will remember it for the rest of their life. And when they leave their ride, they will come back feeling a difference, feeling a change in their personality. Perhaps somebody on a roller coaster felt a real scare within of life, that life is so fragile, that their life can be, they can fall in 1 second and lose this life. And when they come off that ride and they start walking on earth again, now they're feeling a fragility to their existence, a weakness and a reliance on a higher power, an importance to the amount of time given to them on earth, because there is a death that awaits us. So for one person, it was just a fun ride, a high, you experience it, you leave it, and you come back. For another person, the very same ride can open certain realizations, a consciousness, and that has now awakened that person to be a different person. Perhaps that person will get off the ride and remember all the people he needs to thank for, or a person he hasn't been speaking to for a long time and goes back and calls that person. There is an awakening. There's a change. There's a paradigm shift. Now, the roller coaster was just an example, right? But the idea is, just a second, I'm going to spotlight my. But the roller coaster was just an example. But the actual reality is that in every moment we are being given I'm just fixing this. Yeah, something's wrong with my view today. All right, so we see that every moment in life is supposed to awaken us to this paradigm shift, this awakening, this feeling of what is this message trying, what is this reality, what is this experience trying to tell me and talk to me? That is why when we are saying that we're not after the feeling, we are after the experience that will alter something within me, and that alteration is going to open doors to my own self-realization. Who am I? And this realization of who am I starts to open doors into our discussion today, which is about the heavens and the earth. So first we understand that there is only one reality, that one life existence continuously exists and there is no break, and therefore there is no separation. There is no number two, there is no a duality, there is no second existence. However, it is our perception that creates the sense of separation. Now, Rumi says that he asks God and he says, what was the purpose of this separation that you've created? Why have we left home and come here when we had to go back again? And again, he explains and he says that it is in the sweetness of the reunion with the beloved that there is that taste of experiencing the sweetness. When you are separated from your beloved and after a very long time you reunite, it is the experience of that sweetness. So we're seeing that now it was never about going back home, but it is the experience of tasting the sweetness of it is about the tasting of the sweetness of the reunion. It is about the feeling of love that is ignited within us that causes an experience. These experiences is what I was saying cannot be put into words. And moment to moment, if we can awaken, we can taste these experiences of reunion. And little by little, they become moments of self-disclosure. According to Ibn Arabi, the word self-disclosure is used, that we are constantly disclosing a part of us to ourselves. And what he explains is the self-disclosure of God. There's an experiencing of God through this manifested existence. So moving forward, we said that we now enter a reality of self-disclosure, and that becomes the internal heaven and the earth, the internal existence of the heavens within us. So when I was explaining to you that, mystics and teachers like Ibn Arabi would hold man as the center of the existence, and they would create an image of the cosmos where earth is the center, we realize that the internal worlds are different levels of the soul, which we can call the different nafs, right? So we have the nafs amara, and nafs lawama, and nafs mulhama, and nafs mutmainna, and zakiya, and razia, and kamila. So there are all these different levels of the soul. I've just named them, but they may not be in order. In the same way, the planets in the sky, so if we remove Pluto, we see that other than the Earth, right, the Earth is one planet. Other than the Earth, there are 7 planets. So heavens and the Earth, there are 7 heavens and the Earth. And when we look at the chakra system, also we have the 7 chakras and the earthly body. Now, I may be wrong, and these are just my speculations, so please forgive me if there is any mistake here, because this is not final in any way. These are just my insights into connecting different pieces of knowledge. So when we talk about the 7 heavens and the earth, we see that the 7 heavens exist outside in the cosmos, and the earth has an existence as an orbiting body in space. And then there is the human being with the 7 heavens and the earthly body. Now, the earthly body is what holds those chakras within it, right? In the same manner, it is the earth that is giving the importance to the other planets in the space. Without the earth, without that grounding central point of the human consciousness, the other seven heavenly bodies would not be recognized, would not have any we would not have any understanding of their existence. And while there may be unexplored, uncharted realities beyond the Milky Way, and there is, of course, the existence of the universe, which is far beyond our imagination, vast in beyond light years in our calculation, the uncharted territories, if they have no one to appreciate it, if it has no one to see it, then it is as good as it has no existence, right? It is in the dark. It's like there's a room where it's pitch dark and there is no recognition of what exists in that room. Now that room can hold equipment for creating art or creating photography, but there is no conscious reality that is putting all of that into use. That instrument within that room stays in the dark and it has no use, no purpose. It is not in a state of motion or growth. So Rumi says that the honor for the plant and vegetation is that it gains value by becoming part of the animal, because the animal is a higher existence above the plant. And then the animal becomes a part of the human being, right? Because when the human consumes the animal, then that animal becomes part of the human being. And there's an elevation in the status of the plant into becoming an animal, and an animal becoming a human being. It is as though their reality has been elevated. But now, how will the human being elevate? By letting go of its animal, its levels in the soul, it will elevate into higher reality. So constantly everything is in a state of motion because it has entered the manifested reality. When we enter the manifested reality and there is a conscious mind that can recognize it, then it can bring motion, it can bring growth to that reality. And so this conscious reality now becomes part of a journey. It's a state of motion which is taking any reality at a certain state, it is going into a higher stage of existence. Within us then, therefore, there are different levels of the soul that we know elevate. Now, if we look at the chakra system, the lowest, I think, is the Muladhara. It is associated with fear. And then after fear, there is the second and the third. The solar plexus is about the willpower, self-actualization, understanding our independent realities in existence. And from there, we move into the throat chakra, which is about expressing our truth, being authentic, saying who we are and saying our truth. And we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed his truth through the Quran, through the prophets to us. There's been a constant evolution and a constant iteration or reiteration of what Allah's truth is. He has been expressing it through speech. That's why when Quran comes to the Holy Prophet, the first word is Ikra. And there is read. To express this truth, it has to be manifested. And so manifestation becomes a part of this journey. Each one of us as human beings, we have to go through these levels. And many times I have said that we are by nature entities or species that live in fear, because our ancestors were living in fear. What religion came to do was to liberate us from this fear. If religion becomes a means of instilling fear, then it is counterproductive. We are already beings of fear. And if religion comes to put fear into us, then we know that fear contracts us, limits us, takes us back into our cocoon bunkers where we are now again stagnant. In order for the journey to proceed, in order for the motion to go on, in order for this journey to be experienced. Therefore, the cogwheels of our journey have to start moving. But fear stops all of that. When there is fear, economies collapse. Stock exchange markets, they plummet. Why? Because there is a fear. But when a new government comes into power, a new president takes over, something good happens. What do we say? The tradesmen have faith in the economy. And what does faith do? It starts to run the economy. It starts to create a motion. People feel confident to move forward, grow and learn and make mistakes, and they have hope. It's the same thing with the soul's journey. When we are in our lowest journey, we are enveloped in fear, and we have to break out of that cocoon. We have to birth ourselves out of this fear. And people of God, they have come to us to remind us that God is the one who is going to protect us, is the one who's going to hold our hand and take us forward, is the one who is going to take us out of this constriction and help us grow and go to the next stage of our journey and bring us out of our constriction. Now, when we come out of our constrictions and we start to move into a space of saying, okay, I'm feeling more confident, I have more faith in myself, I have more faith in God, then we start to manifest what we have held within us for so long. We have held this name of God, we have held this reality, this authentic self within us that now needs to come out and manifest itself. And that's why if we look at the Islamic names for the souls, for the nafs, they're nafse kamila, completion, right? And what is completion? It's the self-actualization. It's the perfection of the human intellect, is the perfection of the human existence, human journey, where we come to a place of actualizing what was hidden within us. It has to be manifested in the world of manifestation. So in this world, faith then has to take us through these journeys of the soul, take us out of fear, find our independent realities, and then manifest it. Like the throat chakra is all about speaking our truth, voicing who we are. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Why? Because each one of us will have a completely different thing to say. And each one of us will have a completely different perspective on different things. And therefore, in this world, each one of us will have this journey by ourselves of finding faith in no other than Allah, who is saying, Alastu bi Rabbikum, am I not your Lord? And by that, he's saying, I am the Rabb who will take you from your seed, from your lowest self to your highest self. I'm here to support you. You can't do this. And in doing so, there is a manifestation of God himself. There's a manifestation of that one reality that is the only reality through the journey of the human soul. And the journey of the human soul is eventually to reach a place where through the manifestation of our truth and our inner colors that need to come out, we start to unite with that one existence, which is pure and beautiful, which is beautiful through its characteristics, through its qualities. And that's why the journey of the soul is not about feeling good all the time, feeling this high all the time, or even acquiring mystical powers. There are a lot of people who will express to us that they hold some sort of mystical powers, like they have dreams. Sometimes they'll predict the future. Some of them can walk on water. Some people can, break the boundaries of time and space. And all of this is part of this soul's journey, and it is a byproduct. But teachers warn us to never get fixated on these feelings. Even these feelings are just indicators. We need to look at them, read through them, take them as a message, and then keep moving forward. Why do I say that? Because we again and again hear these stories that, Hazrat Musa was told that in heaven, his neighbor is going to be an XYZ person, and when he goes, he finds out that he's a butcher who is doing nothing very special except he's very sincerely taking care of an old mother, right? We hear about stories like at the time of the Prophet, if I'm not wrong, there was a prostitute who fed a dog, and she was given complete salvation for that small act of feeding the dog when it was hungry. We also hear a story of a scholar and a mystic who says that the door of light within his heart opened when he was doing his work in the middle of the night, and he was writing with the ink. And for a moment, he noticed that a house fly, had come and sat down on in the cap of the ink. And the fly was thirsty. It was drinking from that ink. And instead of shooing it away, he felt a compassion, he felt a connection, he felt a oneness with this housefly. And he allowed it to sip from his ink. And he says that became the opening into his soul. So it is not these magical powers that ensure that we are in a state of movement, that ensure that we are moving in the right direction, but it is the real inner paradigm shift. It is that inner alteration, inner transformation as a person that starts to show up in our character, in our characteristics, that will tell us that there has been some movement, there has been some journey. Why? Because we see that the epitome, the role model for us, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so interestingly, was not given any of the miracles like the miracles that were given to other prophets. All these other prophets, in order for them to perhaps attract the people towards truth, were given these magical powers. Like Musa was given so many different miracles. Yade Beza, where his hand became full of light, or so many, the parting of the sea, all of that, right? The Quran mentions so many of his miracles. And we see Hazrat Yunus going into the stomach of the whale, and we see all of these different prophets given different miracles, which are very magical. And they give us this sense of fascination and fairy tale-like feeling. And as a child, I am being very honest, the life of the Holy Prophet did not fascinate me as much, because there was no fairy tale. There was no magical stories of miracles happening in his life. And that is why I struggled to find that kind of awe for the Holy Prophet as a child. I struggled. But growing up and looking into his life and studying and going through this process of realizing that the ultimate journey is not about finding fascination in magic or miracles. The ultimate journey is about the polishing of the character. And we therefore see that the Holy Prophet is granted names like he was Rahmatul lil Alameen, mercy for all mankind, that he had the best of akhlaq. He had the best emulation of the Uswatul Hasana, right? The name, he had the best akhlaq according to the characters of God. And we see that the Holy Prophet carries within his life the miracle of human transformation. And his miracle was to transform a barbaric nation into this phenomenal, thriving community of God-fearing, God-centric people. And their fine character speaks of the miracle of the Holy Prophet. It is in our everyday dealings with human beings in our lives. But sometimes we wonder whether animals are better than humans, right? Sometimes we have these experiences. And, we come across people who cheat, we come across people who hurt us, who betray us. We come across people who are unable to change and they continue to repeat cycles and patterns. And in the face of the most barbaric society, we see the patience of the Holy Prophet. We see how he is dealing with them. We see how he is interacting with them. And I have this very favorite story that I repeat again and again. So pardon me if I have already narrated it before. But one of our teachers told us this story that when the ruling for the prohibition of alcohol came, the Holy Prophet ﷺ had these companions who were very practicing and they were very respectful of the Sharia law that would come. So when this prohibition came, they found out about a man who was continuing to indulge in alcohol. So they made a plan with the Holy Prophet and they said, all of us are going to go to his house and we're going to catch him red-handed with all the bottles spread everywhere so that we can catch him and tell him what he's doing is so wrong. It's not allowed. And we look at the Holy Prophet, and what he did is that he went to this man's house 1 or 2 hours before anybody had reached. Without uttering a word of counsel, we see that the Holy Prophet starts to pick up the bottles in his house very subtly and starts to hide them. And by the time the friends come, there is no evidence of any alcohol anywhere in the house. Now, this man whose house it was is noticing what the Prophet has done. The Prophet knew somebody was coming and he protected the honor of this man. And he protected this man from being humiliated and embarrassed and pointed fingers at him. He protected him from all of that. And by the time the friends come, because there is no evidence, they quietly spend their time with them and they leave. And then so does the Prophet leaves with them. And we hear that this man is so touched because of the love of the Holy Prophet and the akhlaq of the Holy Prophet and the way he dealt with the situation, that he changes and he leaves alcohol because he realizes the love. And that is something that we have to emulate in our lives, that contrary to what I do constantly preach, we should not be preaching and we should not be pointing fingers or telling people. And remember, there's a saying of Imam Ali where he says that don't waste your words on somebody who has not asked for your advice, because then what you're saying will not be received. They're not ready to receive it. So there's a hadith of the Holy Prophet which says that there are 70 ways of spreading goodness, of doing tabligh, and the last one is through the tongue. And so many people go away from God simply because they have been constantly taunted, constantly criticized, constantly being rebuked, and reprimanded. And the best way is to be good, is to just be good. And like we mentioned in the beginning of our session, there is only one existence. We are only part of that one energy. If we are going to change ourselves, we are like that part of the water that is being purified. The effect of a part of water which is changing in its quality is going to spread. It is going to spread in ripples because water is just one entity, right? You can't separate a boundary within the ocean and say this part is separate and this part isn't. That's why when there is this oil spill, the containment is so difficult, because it is one and it just spreads and it goes. And just like the dirt and the negativity spreads, in the same way the goodness spreads. And so, if we become conscious of our inner heavenly existence, which is contained within this earthly vessel, and we work on ourselves within, we will start to reflect it in the outside, in the outer heavens and the earth. We can change the pollution of the earth in terms of psychological, emotional, and spiritual pollution and physical pollution by cleansing what is within us. We have fought enough wars and we have protested enough and we have screamed and shouted and we have done all of that, and we are continuing to going to speak up against falsehood and all of that. But the journey has to begin from inside. And if we can change what is within us, we can radiate that change on the outside. And because we're part of this heaven and earth, all of us with our little contribution into the inner purification can start to contribute in the outer purification. In this outer existence, moving step by step out of fear into manifesting the goodness that we all hold within us, so that we can start to experience that purification that the Holy Prophet came to show to us through his beautiful character. And so that by reading this verse that Allah owns the heavens and the earth isn't just a lip service where we are saying, okay, I'm praising God who is the owner of the heavens and earth. But I think, this is my own humble opinion, that in this verse, Allah is not just reminding that He is the owner of the heavens and earth. He is actually reminding us to take ownership of the heavens and the earth, so that with this ownership and this responsibility, there can be a transformation. There can be a completion of the pledge that we've taken with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah, we now put our hands up for dua. Oh Allah, we come to you with our flaws, with our ramblings, with our mistakes. Oh Allah, forgive us for our shortcomings in today's session and always. Oh Allah, we ask you to make every moment a rebirth. Oh Allah, cleanse us and purify us and enable us to see the path and give us the courage, and give us this insight and the understanding of how to utilize this guidance and to move in the right direction only and only with your support and help. We seek your help, O Allah, because we are helpless, we are powerless. We are darkness and you are light. We are lost and you are the one who finds us. O Allah, we hand over ourselves and our journey and all of our shortcomings to you. O Allah, we come back to you again and again in every moment. O Allah, let us not ever be separated from you. Inna ma'akum fa. O Allah, you say in the Quran that wherever we are, you are with us, O Allah. O Allah, make us aware of your presence with us. O Allah, open our hearts and our eyes to your existence and our presence with us and within us. O Allah, open our consciousness to the understanding and the experience of how close you are to us, that we forget again and again, that we stop feeling again and again. O Allah, the one who can experience your proximity is such a fortunate one. O Allah, make us one of the fortunate ones who are close in proximity to you. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Thank you so much for listening.